this is the sun. The sun. And let's consider this to be the earth. Earth. And then the orbit of the moon going around the earth like this. And it has different positions along this orbit. Let's consider two positions. This one and this one. This is, by the way, the moon. Okay? Fair enough. Now, what you should understand is that at any particular position of the moon, one side of the moon is lit by the sun, the other side is dark. Similarly here, this position is lit by the sun. Let's call this as position 1. Let's call this as position 2. Every other position is in between 1 and 2. Now in position 1, the side of the moon which is lit by the sun, that is the bright side, is not facing the earth. This is the side which is facing the earth, and it is a dark side, and therefore what you will see in the sky will be the dark moon, or in fact it will be completely invisible. This is known as the new moon or Amavasya. Let's consider position 2. In this position, the bright sunlit side of the moon is facing the earth, and therefore you will see something called the full moon. The full face of the moon will be visible to an observer on earth. Notice that at position 2, there is a phenomenon of Earth's shadow falling on the surface of the moon. We all know that the shadow of the earth has two parts. One is the umbra, and then you have this as the penumbra, and the umbra is the dark part. So when the shadow of the earth is falling on the moon, that bright moon might get a decreased brightness. So if the brightness of the moon is say 100%, what you will observe from earth might be say 90% or 80%. That's why the moon is kind of eclipsed by the shadow of the earth. This is known as lunar eclipse, and therefore lunar eclipse happens only in the position of full moon. Notice, however, that the orbit of the earth and the orbit of the moon are tilted from each other at a 5-degree angle, and therefore the moon is not always in the center of the earth's umbra and might go up and down. When it is right in the center, the moon's brightness might decrease significantly. It might become grayish, it might even become reddish, and you might get something called the red moon. The red moon. Now, fair enough. What you now need to notice is that let's consider the elliptical orbit of the moon. Say this is the orbit of the moon. Now, let's consider this as the earth. It is not a circular orbit, right? So, if the moon is here, it is closest to earth. That position is called perigee. If the moon is here, it's farthest from the earth. That position is called apogee. Understandably, when the moon is at the perigee position, it will be much brighter and much bigger to an observer on earth. Now, if this perigee position happens to coincide with this position of the full moon, you'll get a really big, bright full moon. That is known as supermoon. And whereas because the moon revolves around the earth once every month, therefore this full moon and this new moon might be coming every month. However, this coincidence of a full moon to occur at the perigee position to create something called the supermoon happens every 1 to 1.5 years. So the next time you see such a supermoon, remember the astronomy behind it and remember the explanation of this video.